Hey guys, we are coming to you on this, I was going to say beautiful and sunny Wednesday, but I don't know what the weather is like where you are, Crystal.
Dreary and rainy.
So, on this sunny and also dreary and rainy Wednesday, this is the final episode in our summer mental health and entrepreneurship series. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback from you guys on the series, so thank you. We really appreciate that. It's so nice to hear that we're all in it together and we all kind of go through similar things and have that solidarity. This week, finally, we were talking about time management and how do you deal with depression and anxiety and running your business and do it all in a timely fashion and make sure that you're devoting the right things at the right time to keep your business on track. So we're going to talk about that this week. It'll be our final week in this series. I do think it's something we probably want to run again in the future because it has been so awesome connecting with everyone. And the private messages I've gotten from some of you have been really, really, really nice. So yeah, Crystal's here with me as always. How's it going, Crystal?
Pretty good. Jordan is here with me. We're just chilling out. She's my official supervisor for the business, so she's monitoring
So
our
cute.
progress, making sure that
She's
we're
the
doing
real
it right.
boss in this situation.
She's very bossy. Do not let her fluffy hair and pretty face fool you. She is quite the chainsaw.
So let's talk time management.
Naturally, I think the way I was born and the way my very ADHD 1,000-mile-an-hour brain works, I am awful. Can't say was awful with time management. I have had to seek so much help and so many classes to learn to do this. It was not a natural thing for me.
Yeah, and I think time management's not something I've really struggled with in the day to day, like as a theory. On a good mental health day, when things are rocking and rolling, I can manage my time pretty well. I think for me, where I get overwhelmed is when I'm having a panic attack or I'm having anxiety or I'm feeling a little bit more depressed than usual, and then it gets hard to kind of know what to prioritize, because some days we have better mental health days than other, or even if it's not internal like your own mental health, there might be outside stressors. Last week my dog actually tore a ligament in her knee out of nowhere in the middle of a Thursday, and so that means vet visits we weren't planning on and surgeries we weren't planning on. And so I know for me the struggle is, how do you manage your time in times of stress or anxiety or even just like emergency situations when you're really the backbone of your business? So I don't know, that's what we want to talk about today, I think.
Yep. And I mean, that's all good stuff. And, I'm just to kind of give you an example. I don't know if you can see it, but all these colors, just like this is my calendar, and it might look really intimidating to you, but it's not. I live by this thing. I mean, it reminds me in the morning to take your vitamins, and it tells me what I'm working on at the gym and content topics for future blogs. And it reminds me everything from, social media posts to meetings to blocks of what I'm working on at this time. When do I stop and check my emails? That's just what works for me, is having to create a routine and put it down someplace where I can look and it holds me accountable. And
Yeah.
Google Calendar is great because it sends you reminders. That's just how I work, and that's what I need. Whereas some people, it's just a little easier for them to say, oh yeah, I need to do this, I'll do it. And for me, it's very easy for me to, so that's been a huge thing for me, is just living by that system where I can keep track of, okay, what exactly am I doing? And of course, in emergency situations, we've had plenty with a bazillion animals. Then you got to start rescheduling and shuffling and moving things around. But for me, it still functions the same way. Like, okay, I fit this emergency block into the vet here. So now everything is boop, 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 and I just have to continue to live by that system.
Yeah, and I know for me, having a calendar is great. I know this is like such a bandwagon thing to hop onto, but I do bullet journal and I find it so insanely helpful. I'll post a resource to, if you guys don't know what bullet journaling is, it's kind of a specific type of calendar management with a actual physical journal. That has helped me just even stay organized. It's hard because as business owners, we wear a lot of hats in our business, especially if you have a smaller business. You know, if you have a business that's less than 10 employees or less than 5 employees, you're wearing a lot of different hats. And so I think it's not just time management in terms of is everything getting done, but I know I really, in the beginning at least, struggled with what do I prioritize? There's the obvious things you prioritize, like your clients or your customers, if you have calls with them or you have things you need to take care of. But all the other stuff like accounting and maintaining your own website and your own social media profiles and all that stuff, and knowing kind of how do you prioritize that, or how do you make priorities? I know something for me that has really helped is having specific days that I do certain things in my business. And just knowing that, like, okay, something accounting related came up. Okay, well, I do that on Mondays. So that can wait till Monday. It's going to get done on Monday. I know it's going to get done on Monday. And that takes a lot of anxiety out of when I'm having a day that like 100 tasks comes up, and my natural inclination oftentimes is to be like, I have to do all of these immediately right now. So that helps with that panic of like, this goes into Monday's bracket, this goes into Tuesday's box kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. And like I said, I'm so awful at this, and I mean, I kind of have to live by my calendar, but there's a lot of other things that got me to this point that, I wanted to share today. And I know there's a lot of moms in the group, and they'll all go, oh, I can't do this one. But routines really, really, really matter, right? Like you hear me talk about routines a lot. Get enough sleep, people. Like, get enough sleep so you can get up and do that first thing that's on your schedule, whatever it is, and give yourself a reasonable stop time for the evening. Establish a set of sane hours for yourself. And I think this is really important for people who are moms and who are wives, because you may also have the responsibility of cooking and packing lunches and running kids to school and picking up the house and doing so many other things. You have to be able to say, what are the sane hours that I can do this stuff so that I don't go crazy and that I can sleep and that I can reasonably manage all this stuff. And we've talked about this so many times, and women particularly are not good at this. We have to be able to say no, because we cannot do everything in a 24-hour day, including sleep. So, wives and husbands and kids and neighbors and your sister's second cousin removed goat, right? They need to hear no more often. We cannot do it all. Granted, women, you're all Wonder Woman. I get it, especially if you're moms, but you can't do it all. Don't do it. You don't want to do it all. Be able to say no. Set daily goals for yourself, but make them attainable. If that helps, I know in the beginning for me, it was just basic goal management of, can I get these things done without procrastinating? Can I go to this step? So maybe that will help you. Being somebody that's really ADHD, my go-to thing is, well, I'm going to multitask because things lose my interest really quickly. I should not even try to multitask.
None of us should.
None of us should. We really shouldn't. I mean, I know that's a skill that a lot of people say is good to have for a job, but
it's such a myth, though.
It really is. We're all going to focus better if we're just laser focused, or as focused as you can be, on the one thing that we're doing. Do it well, knock it out, go to the next. So
There's a fantastic book by Greg McCowan called Essentialism. And he talks about this, how like we've created this society where we're all expected to multitask, and being multi-talented is so deeply valued. And he goes a little bit extreme. Like he stopped going to staff meetings. He doesn't go to anything unless it absolutely requires his time. I maybe you can or can't do that, but his concept is really good in that, like, when you focus on one thing and do it well, that's like where your success lies, right? And if you look at like Olympic athletes, if you look at like anybody who does something extremely well, Steve Jobs, he doesn't know how to make an iPhone on his own. He shows up in a turtleneck and talks to people. And so we focused on that. There's, so I think partly in terms of time management is we talk a lot about like the time piece. How are you managing your time? There's this many hours in a day. And if you can just cram, like, if you can just schedule it down to like the last 10 minutes, then you'll get everything done. But I think we need to talk more about the actual management part. And like, are you actually giving yourself a reasonable amount of tasks to manage in that time?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about like, how can you be efficient with your time? How can you also just be efficient with what you're asking of yourself? And I know I actually learned this way back in college, but I have this tendency, if I have a long list of tasks, like 100 tasks, to feel like I need to get them all done like that day. And so part of my journey has just been learning how to prioritize tasks, how to say no to tasks. Just because a task comes up in your business doesn't mean you need to do it.
I think it's natural for women too, because women are the nurturers, right? We're the ones that from the beginning of time were wired to go out and make babies and take care of everything. So I think it's natural for a lot of women to say, things need to be done. I need to do them now.
Yeah.
Which is, why I say it's important to have that sane system of scheduling, because it's insane to say I'm going to do 250 tasks today, plus cook dinner, plus send little Johnny off to school, plus clean up after Frank, my lazy husband.
Try to get to yoga, do some self-care, maybe throw a face mask in. It's too much, ladies. It's too much.
It is too much.
And saying no to tasks, just because a task comes up in your day doesn't mean you have to do it. Just because somebody asked you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it.
100%.
One of the biggest things I started doing in my business is I don't do a proposal for everybody anymore. Sometimes I was getting people that were coming to me and maybe weren't the best fit for my business, and I was still sending them a proposal, because we all know when you're first starting out, you don't turn away business. But I've gotten to a place now where there's people I just don't do proposals for because I don't have the time and I know it's not going to be a good fit. So sometimes I think there's tasks that just because they crop up, we do them. And maybe, if you're kind of on autopilot or you're not really, I don't know, I would encourage people to be mindful, or I've learned to be mindful about, is this a task that actually needs to get done, as the first question to ask. And then the second question is, when should this task get done? But not automatically going to, okay, when am I going to schedule this task?
Yeah. And you can tell from people's work. We talked about being laser focused, which, by the way, that guy's book, we should totally incorporate that and do a future series on it. That would be great. I can look, not to be mean, but I can look at some people's social media and their blogs and say they did this because it was a task, like they had to do it. There is no passion in the work. You can tell that it was forced, something they didn't really want to do. It's just, time to do it. I got to do it. That's a whole different thing from doing it and being laser focused on it. And yeah, there are times when I get writer's block and I move those tasks around. If I'm just not feeling blogging for a day, I'm not going to do it. Even if it's for a client, I'm going to let them know I'm moving your project out 4 days, because I don't have the inspiration to write your content right now, and your content's going to suffer and your SEO is going to suffer. And that's not fair to either of us. So like Claire said, it's just nail on the head. Always be mindful of what really is a priority, right? Because, what really is an emergency, what really is a priority, what can stay, what can go, and oh my God, multitasking. I caught myself doing it today where I stopped everything I was doing to write a note down so I didn't forget to pack underwear for my trip that's coming up in 2 weeks. And then that turned into a whole big list, and then I changed it around, and then I got an hour and a half behind. See?
She's coming to see me.
Just don't try. For some of us, just don't do that. Yeah. It's all your fault, Claire.
It is. It's all my fault. The other thing I will say, and this is not going to be new information for anybody, and I know I'm not sharing anything kind of revolutionary here, but something that has also really, really, really helped me is to every day do the task you're dreading the most first. Just bang it out. It takes up so much mental space. I was avoiding tasks that I didn't want to do till the end of my workday, and you're so drained and exhausted by the end of your day. No matter what your day looks like, you start with a certain amount of energy, right? And at the end of the day, you have less left. And I know you guys have probably heard it before, but it's something that has revolutionized my day because the amount of mental space that those tasks you don't want to do occupy, they sit with you even as you're working on other things. And even if you're not fully conscious of it or fully aware, it's something that's really, really helped me. And it also means that if my day does snowball, I got the one thing that had to be done that day done. So I took the one thing that I didn't want to do, and then I took the one thing that absolutely could not be put off till the next day, and I got those both knocked out. So now if my dog decides to go, hurt her leg and I end up spending 5 hours in the vet, I'm not as stressed out as if I had left those tasks until later because they got off my plate immediately. And the subconscious, like mental energy that then gets released from having to worry about that, even if you're not aware that you're worrying about it, is, I find, abundantly helpful.
Yeah, I hate unloading the dishwasher. Have no idea why. There's no reasonable explanation.
I mean, it sucks.
I hate doing it.
Reasonable enough.
If it were reasonable, I would probably I might intentionally put myself in a vet's office, needing care myself to avoid putting away the dishes in the dishwasher. I hate it, but it's just something that I usually do that the first thing when I come home from the gym because I'm like, I know I hate doing this. Let me get it out of the way because I will sit here and type and just evil
rude about it.
Done and like, oh my
stupid
God,
dishwasher.
I hate them and I hate stacking. I hate you got to take everything out and oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. But I just hate it. I hate it. But it's got to get done.
Yeah.
So I get it in there. And speaking of stacking, we got to let go of perfection because we will waste a lot of time in our work if we try to make everything perfect. And I'm guessing there's a lot of moms out there that feel like they could always do better, right? To be a parent, but there's no such thing as a perfect parent or a perfect marketer or a perfect writer or a perfect coder, a perfect painter. Nothing is really perfect. So if you're going to sit there and just nitpick the details and take it, it won't get done. And then you'll get frustrated, and frustration is the fastest way to just say, I'm over it, I'm not doing it. And that leads to a snowball effect that we don't get things done. So letting go of perfection. Every now and again for time management, as much as I love the social media, I gotta back the hell away from the internet.
Yeah.
I have set times that I'm on it, and the other time I don't check it, don't look at it, don't get sucked down those weird political dark holes of Facebook. Like,
don't do it.
You'll get sucked in. It'll take a lot of time. Have fun when you can. When you're stressed, everything is freaking miserable. Having fun is the great equalizer to overcoming the issues that you're having. So if you have a really stressful day and you need to take 2 or 3 little things and boop, 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 move those bad boys over, So you can go and do something that you enjoy doing, right? Self-care, because I bet you my calendar doesn't have blocks for self-care in it. It doesn't, because we're just, we're not good at doing that. But if I feel like, okay, I'm going to blow up today, it's rough, I'm struggling, I'm moving the rest of the things over to another day, and I'm going to do this because it's going to help me. So those things kind of end up making it in there, much like, right, Khaleesi breaks a hip and you take her to the vet and, now I had to work it in. I work in stuff when I feel the need to. So don't feel guilty if you need to work in time on your schedule for yourself, because there's only one you, right? What are you going to do if you can't run the business effectively?
It's true. So true.
Yeah.
I mean, time management is something that it's right in the word. You're going to always have to manage it. You will always have to manage your time. That will never change. There's no system that will fix that for you. It's just something that has to be managed. Tasks come up, activities come up. And I think, these are just some of the tips and tools that Crystal and I use in our own businesses, and some of the feelings just that we have. If you guys have like some awesome tips or resources that you use to manage your time, I know we have some pretty amazing, like, organized women in here. So post your suggestions in the comments, because we want to hear about that too. Anything else to add, Crystal?
I'm actually, I'm gonna pose a little, not a challenge here, but this is going to be interesting. I have some friends that will tell you the same thing my wife will tell you. I am really hard to vacation with, and you're going to experience this in a couple weeks. Because of how I'm trained in my time management, when I go somewhere, I spreadsheet out what I want to do and where it is in proximity to where I'm going to be. And my calendar events actually have a block for, this is travel time from this destination to this destination. So when I vacation, it ain't sitting around with my toes up getting a pedicure. It's, okay, at this time we have to be at this museum, then we're going to go to a tour here, then we're going to have dinner at this place. I researched, like, oh, I'm that guy. I'm not saying that I don't take it overboard, but
I pack like 30 minutes before the airport.
I would, no, I'm already working on my list of things to pack, but that's why I brought it up, is because it's an interesting dynamic. Everything works different everybody's different, right? So there may not be a lot of people that need to be this crazy, neurotic, like calendar whoring psycho freak like me that sits there and researches things and just calculates it out like that. But that's what works for me. If I don't do that, I don't even know where I am. So
and I think that's the heart of the matter, is find what works for you and do it. And what works for somebody else might not work for you. But
which is fair to say that my type A overscheduling neurotic calendar is probably not going to work good for the gal who packs 30 minutes before her flight leaves.
Hey, I'm very organized. It's an organized packing. It's just, I don't have the mental energy to think about going anywhere until I'm going there.
That's why, and we just talked about it in this time management course, that's why you shouldn't procrastinate it.
That's why you shouldn't procrastinate it.
Why you shouldn't procrastinate it, which is why I've been working on making the list, and I have time scheduled to start catching up on laundry and packing now prior to the event, so I don't have to stress about it later.
I love it. All right, you guys, this concludes our series. I hate to say that, because we're going to be constantly talking about these topics, and we're going to continue to be extremely honest about mental health and entrepreneurship, because I do think it's a topic that doesn't get talked about enough. And we will be coming to you guys with another series in the fall. We're kicking off a fall series on branding. And more than branding, we're going to be talking about authenticity and mental health, and kind of weaving all of these topics in together. But the highlight will be branding. And we'll be kicking that off in a few weeks. We'll have more details on that in the future. And Crystal will be up here in 2 weeks, so you'll get to see us do a video together as well. I think that's it. All right, guys, we'll see you soon when we kick off our next series, and drop anything you have in the comments, any resources or stuff you want to add. So, all right, bye.
Bye.